Okay, I think that JayZ and Beyonce are master manipulators of the media. And I also think, yeah. And I think that they are to the point, they will manipulate almost anything. Like, I think it's bad karma to lie about the state of your marriage. JayZ is accepted by white America because he shakes hands and kisses babies. No disrespect, because I'm a fan. But nobody brings up the fact that he stabbed somebody and sold drugs. He gets a pass. Okay, I remember when he stabbed.
Girl, this turned serious real fast. Remember when JayZ and Nas were going straight for each other's throats back in the 90s? The diss tracks were brutal, the interviews were tense, and every time one of them spoke, it felt like a bomb dropped. Fans were locked in, picking sides like it was a championship match, and the fan wars online and in the streets were wild. But Wendy Williams came out saying this wasn't just about hip-hop at all. According to her, the real spark behind the chaos was a woman, and not just any woman. She claimed it was allegedly Nas's baby mama, and that JayZ got her pregnant and even used it to taunt Nas. That's a serious accusation. Wendy dug deep and pulled up one of rap's most ruthless feuds, and now people are saying that old drama is circling back around to the Carters in a big way.
People in New York City chose me, and Jay caught an attitude and started crying about it, and now they coming at your boy like, yo, Nas, you gotta be easy, because Def Jam paying them to do this, do that. Yeah. Now, yo, I'm a rebel. I'm for the people, man. I ain't with all of that. You ain't got Donnie Iyer, who's my man, paying nobody to protect me. I deal with my consequences like a straight warrior and a trooper to the death.
People forget Jay had a whole history before Beyonce ever stepped in the picture. Reports say he had 6 or 7 kids with different women before he settled down. That's a lot of chapters people don't talk about. One of those women was Carmen Bryan. Her name doesn't ring loud like a superstar, but she was right in the middle of the storm between Nas and JayZ. Carmen is the mother of Nas's first child, Destiny. She met Nas while he was grinding on his first album. Back then, she worked as a receptionist at Def Jam and later at Capitol Records, which is how she crossed paths with both Nas and Jay. While Carmen and Nas were expecting their daughter, Nas dropped his debut album. That project flipped his life upside down. He went from being a hungry, unknown artist to one of the most wanted names in rap. Everybody wanted a feature, and that included JayZ. Jay reportedly asked Nas to jump on Bring It On for Reasonable Doubt, but Nas didn't show up to the studio. No call, no apology, nothing. That move reportedly hit Jay the wrong way. Word is, Jay decided he wasn't going to let that slide, and that's when he turned his attention to Carmen. At that time, Carmen didn't even know how deep the tension ran between the two rappers. All she saw was Jay showing interest. Meanwhile, her relationship with Nas was already shaky. Both of them were stepping out and dealing with trust issues. So when Jay came around, she leaned into it just to see what would happen. And looking back, that choice sparked way more drama than anyone expected.
How could you sleep with Nas's enemy? And the truth is, you have to ask yourself, when were JayZ and Nas ever enemies? Like, when were they nemesis, you know? The truth is, the dispute between these two individuals is a result of my affair with JayZ.
This whole situation turned messy fast. When Nas found out about the affair, Carmen admitted it straight up. She basically said, he was cheating, I was cheating. The problem was who I was cheating with. And that right there was the real issue. If it had been some random guy, maybe it wouldn't have blown up like this. But it wasn't random. It was someone in the same rap circle, someone Nas already had tension with. Then Jay fired a clear shot on Takeover, and everybody knew exactly what he was talking about. After that track dropped, everything spiraled. Nas was heated and ready to strike back. He even wanted Carmen by his side publicly, just to prove he still had her loyalty and that Jay didn't win anything. But here's where it gets even more complicated. Carmen was reportedly pregnant by Jay at the time, stuck in the middle of two powerful men going at each other. Later, after she suffered a miscarriage, she realized something painful. She started to believe Jay wasn't really there for love. He was there to get under Nas's skin. That realization changed everything.
At one point, you were pregnant by Jay?
Yes, I had a miscarriage.
Okay, this is before the whole
This is,
takeover.
yeah, this was like before all of that.
How far along were you?
I believe I was definitely less than 3 months. It was the first trimester. It wasn't.
It was still early.
Exactly. Yeah, it wasn't anything crazy. It wasn't planned. It wasn't like, oh, we're gonna have this baby and, you know, move forward with our relationship. No.
Okay. When you told Jay that you were pregnant, what was his reaction?
I told him after the fact.
Oh, you told him after?
I told him after the fact.
Okay, so he didn't even know.
No, I told him after the fact.
Jay reportedly wanted to turn the whole thing into a headline moment, almost like a replay of the Tupac and Biggie drama. Remember when Tupac claimed he had been involved with Faith Evans while she was married to Biggie? That controversy shook the culture, and people couldn't stop talking about it. But once Carmen finally cut Jay off for good, the energy shifted. That's when Nas came through with Ether, and he did not hold back. On that track, Nas accused Jay of being involved with Foxy Brown, who had worked closely with Nas as part of the firm. Now the feud wasn't just personal whispers anymore. It was blasted out in songs for the whole world to hear.
Right. And now that Nas took a stand, people are starting to really understand, like how it is. And I just wanted to call up and let people know that this is what I've been trying to do for years. And I've always got that reputation. But at the end of the day, we made them pay up.
Yeah.
Nas put everything on blast with that diss track, and it clearly struck a nerve. When JayZ dropped Super Ugly, he wasn't hiding behind slick lines anymore. The subliminals were gone. He came out direct and reckless. But here's the thing, a lot of people felt like he didn't really have much to throw at Nas besides bringing up Carmen again. He kept repeating that he had been with her while she was still involved with Nas, like that was the ultimate mic drop. According to Wendy, Super Ugly wasn't some master plan. It sounded more like a reaction. Jay reportedly didn't expect Ether to cut that deep, and when it did, he fired back off pure emotion. The backlash was heavy. It even got to the point where Jay's own mother stepped in and told him to apologize. The comments he made about Carmen and their daughter Destiny crossed a line for a lot of listeners. And when your own mom tells you to fix it, you know it went too far.
And once I realized what Jay was doing, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to allow him to belittle Nas anymore. Like, I'm the only person on the planet that could belittle this nigga. I'm not letting anybody else have that opportunity.
But Jay wasn't finished. On the title track of The Blueprint 2, he took another swing at Nas, saying he stood by what he said on Super Ugly and claiming he was the better man. He made it clear he wasn't backing down, and this time he hinted that his mom wasn't stepping in to smooth things over again. The tension was still thick, and neither side wanted to look weak. All of this was happening while Wendy Williams was at the height of her radio power. And if you were really listening back then, you already know she was way more fearless on the mic than she ever was on TV. She talked bold, moved bold, and always claimed she had insiders, spies, and receipts on everybody, including Jay, allegedly. At the same time, Jay was publicly linked to Beyonce, but Wendy claimed behind the scenes he was still making promises to Carmen, even talking about marriage. According to Wendy, it wasn't love, it was about getting under Nas' skin. And she also alleged that Jay pressured Carmen into ending a pregnancy. That accusation added a whole new layer to an already explosive situation. As the drama kept building, the streets were talking nonstop. Wendy kept hinting that there was way more going on behind closed doors than the public ever saw. She suggested that Jay was playing two different roles, one in the spotlight with Beyonce and another in private making promises he never planned to keep. According to her, it was all strategy, all ego, all about winning the battle against Nas. Meanwhile, Nas wasn't exactly staying quiet either. Ether had already shifted the culture, and people were debating who really won that war. Some fans said Jay was moving calculated, while others felt Nas exposed something deeper. The tension wasn't just music anymore. It felt personal, layered, and messy in a way that couldn't be cleaned up with a simple handshake. Carmen, stuck in the middle of giants, later spoke about how overwhelming that time was. She described feeling pulled into something bigger than herself, caught between fame, pride, and power. If Wendy's claims were true, that meant emotions were being used like chess pieces, and reputations were on the line. And the wild part? Even years later, people still bring this up like it happened yesterday. The feud may have cooled publicly, but the whispers never really stopped. Years passed, and on the surface, everything looked polished and peaceful. JayZ built an empire, Beyonce became a global icon, and Nas carved out his own legacy with respect and awards stacking up. To the public, it seemed like the old war was buried for good. But behind the scenes, the internet never forgets. Every time an interview resurfaces or an old Wendy clip trends again, people start connecting dots all over. Fans replay lyrics, dig through timelines, and question what was real and what was just rap bravado. Some say the music was just competition. Others believe the personal drama ran way deeper than anyone wanted to admit. What makes it even more intense is how powerful everyone involved became. These weren't struggling artists anymore. They were moguls, brand builders, family men. That's why the old allegations still hit hard. When you reach that level, every past move gets re-examined under a microscope. And even though Jay and Nas eventually showed public respect to each other, even performing together years later, critics still debate whether that pace was genuine or just grown man business. Either way, that chapter left a mark on hip-hop history that can't be erased.
Now here's where the story takes another twist. As hip-hop evolved and new artists stepped in, the Jay and Nas feud started to look like a legendary war from a different era. Younger fans saw it as iconic competition, but the ones who lived through it remember how personal it felt at the time. What really keeps this story alive is how each side moved afterward. Jay leveled up into full billionaire status, moving from rap battles to boardrooms. Nas, on the other hand, sharpened his pen, dropped critically praised albums, and proved he was never out of the race. Both men won in different ways, which makes the old beef even more layered. And let's not ignore this. Time has a funny way of softening rivalries. Publicly, they've shared stages, exchanged respect, and acted like grown men who moved past it. But fans? Fans still debate who really had the upper hand. Was Takeover the Sparta record, or did Ether deliver the knockout punch? That argument still sparks heated conversations. At the end of the day, this wasn't just about music charts. It was about pride, ego, relationships, and power moves happening behind the curtain. That's why, even decades later, people still rewind the tapes and dissect every bar like it just dropped yesterday.
And just when people thought the story had faded out, old interviews and radio clips started resurfacing again. Wendy's past commentary began circulating online, and a whole new generation started hearing those claims for the first time. Social media grabbed it and ran wild with it. Suddenly, people weren't just debating lyrics anymore. They were questioning timelines, relationships, and motives. Some fans defended Jay hard, saying the drama was exaggerated and part of rap culture back then. Others said where there's smoke, there's fire. The conversation split right down the middle. What makes it even louder now is the power attached to the names involved. JayZ isn't just a rapper, he's a business giant. Beyonce isn't just an artist, she's a global force. Nas is respected as one of the greatest lyricists ever. So when old accusations pop back up, they don't just sit quietly, they echo. Still, no matter how many clips resurface or how many debates trend online, none of the main players have fully reopened that chapter. And that silence, it keeps people guessing. Some call it maturity, others call it strategy. Either way, the legacy of that feud lives on, stamped into hip-hop history as one of the most talked about rivalries ever.
At this point, the story feels bigger than just the people involved. It turned into a cultural moment that still gets studied, debated, and broken down bar by bar. Bloggers, podcasters, and hip-hop historians keep revisiting it like it's a case file that never fully closed. Some insiders over the years have hinted that not everything was as dramatic as it sounded on records. They say competition in rap can get theatrical, and sometimes emotions get amplified for the spotlight. But others insist there was real tension, real pride hurt, and real lines crossed behind the scenes. That's what keeps the mystery alive. What also stands out is how everyone handled growth. Jay focused on business moves and building generational wealth. Nas doubled down on artistry and earned major industry respect. Carmen eventually told her side of the story publicly, giving her own perspective on how overwhelming that chapter of her life was. And through it all, families grew up, careers evolved, and priorities shifted. Still, every time someone mentions Takeover or Ether, the energy changes. Those records aren't just songs, they're battle scars in audio form. And whether people see it as legendary competition or unnecessary personal drama, one thing is clear. That era shaped hip-hop in a way that can't be undone.
So I'm reading the article, nobody else's name is brought up. Then I run across what the couple found most, it's in the Inquirer. You got to show the cover for legal reasons. And here's the article. Okay. What the couple found most difficult to deal with, says another source, was the fact that some of the rumors were being perpetuated by people they considered friends, like talk show host Wendy Williams. Well, first of all, you're not a credible source, because if you were, then you would know, I've never partied with them. I've never been to their house. I don't swim in their pool. Like, we're not friends. I'm a pop culture pundit and commentator, right? That's what you call it. Pop culture woman. And I talk about people and what they're doing. when they're celebrities like you. So we're not friends, but I do like you and I respect both of their grinds, and I certainly am happy for the baby.
Looking back now, the whole saga feels like a movie script that wrote itself. Two elite rappers at the top of their game, personal relationships tangled in the middle, radio personalities stirring the pot, and fans choosing sides like it was a heavyweight title fight. The music was sharp, but the emotions behind it were even sharper. What really makes this story stick is how close it hit to real life. This wasn't just clever wordplay and studio competition. It involved partners, families, reputations, and pride. When personal lines get mixed with professional rivalry, things can spiral fast. And in this case, every diss track felt loaded with more than just bars. Over time, maturity seemed to step in. Public respect replaced public shots. Business moves replaced battle rhymes. The culture shifted, and both Jay and Nas showed they could grow beyond that chaotic chapter. That growth is part of why their legacies still stand strong today. But let's be honest, the debate will never fully die. Fans will always argue over who won, who went too far, and what was real versus hype. That tension is stamped into hip-hop history forever. It's a reminder that behind the fame and the fame-driven headlines, there were real emotions, real egos, and real consequences playing out in real time. And even now, years later, people still whisper about what really happened behind those studio doors. Every anniversary of Ether or Takeover brings the conversation right back to life. Reaction videos pop up, old magazine clips resurface, and fans start dissecting every lyric like it's brand new. What's wild is how the narrative keeps shifting depending on who's telling it. Some paint Jay as the calculated mastermind who always thinks 10 steps ahead. Others see Nas as the pure lyricist who struck with raw emotion and shook the throne. Then you've got Wendy's old claims floating in the background, adding another layer of drama that refuses to fade. And let's not ignore how timing played a role. The early 2000s were a different era. Social media wasn't running the show yet, so radio, mixtapes, and word of mouth carried everything. When accusations or diss lines dropped, they hit harder because there wasn't an instant explanation or cleanup post waiting 5 minutes later. At the end of it all, this feud became bigger than pride or relationships. It turned into a blueprint for how rap battles could mix personal and professional in a way that shook the entire industry. Whether people see it as legendary competition or messy drama that went too far, one thing is certain: that chapter changed hip-hop forever, and the echoes still ring loud today. Oh, by the time everything cooled down, the damage had already been stamped into history. What started as sharp competition over beats and bars slowly turned into something way more personal. Lines got blurred, feelings got involved, and the whole culture was watching it unfold in real time. Fans still debate whether the personal shots were necessary. Some say that's what battle rap is all about. No limits, no filters, just raw truth. Others feel certain topics should have never made it onto wax. When relationships and children get mentioned in diss records, it shifts the energy completely. That's when a lyrical duel starts feeling like something heavier. What makes this story even more intense is how everyone moved afterward. There were no endless interviews breaking it all down, no full confession tours, just subtle acknowledgments, public collaborations years later, and a quiet understanding that time had passed. That silence, it speaks volumes. And let's be real, hip-hop thrives on rivalry. From the outside looking in, it may seem chaotic, but inside the culture, these clashes often push artists to deliver their sharpest work. Takeover and Ether are still studied like masterclasses in competition. That's not by accident. In the end, the feud wasn't just about who dated who or who said what on a track. It was about dominance, pride, and legacy. Two giants stepped into the ring, swung hard, and walked away with scars and success. And whether people cheer for one side or the other, that era remains one of the most unforgettable moments the genre has ever seen. And here's the part that really keeps people hooked. Nobody involved has ever sat down and laid out every single detail from start to finish. There's never been one full, unfiltered breakdown where all sides lined up their timelines and cleared the air completely. That mystery, it keeps the story alive. Over the years, pieces have trickled out in interviews, memoirs, and old radio clips. Carmen shared parts of her experience. Wendy stood firm on what she claimed she knew. Fans analyzed lyrics like detectives searching for hidden clues. But Jay and Nas, they mostly let the music speak and kept it moving. That silence created two different legends at once. On one side, you have the story of a strategic mogul who turned every setback into a power move. On the other, you have the image of a sharp lyricist who refused to back down when challenged. Both narratives grew stronger with time, and neither one fully erased the other. What also stands out is how the culture matured. Today, rap beef still exists, but artists are more aware of how fast things can spiral. The Jay and Nas era showed how personal battles can echo for decades. It became a lesson wrapped inside classic records. At the end of the day, the music outlived the drama. The albums still stream, the lyrics still get quoted, the debate still sparks up in barbershops and online threads. And maybe that's the real twist. Even after all the accusations, diss tracks, and tension, what remains untouchable is the impact they both left on hip-hop history.
Now, fast forward to today, and the whole saga feels almost unreal. The same two artists who once traded some of the sharpest diss records ever have shared stages, exchanged praise, and shown mutual respect in public. That kind of full circle moment doesn't happen often in hip-hop. When Jay brought Nas out at shows years later, the crowd went wild. It wasn't just about nostalgia, it was about growth. Two former rivals standing side by side, no tension in sight, showing the world that time can shift even the deepest conflicts. That image alone rewrote part of the narrative. Still, fans never completely let the past rest. Every collaboration sparks comments like, "Remember when?" Every interview clip gets replayed and analyzed again. The culture holds on to its legendary battles, and this one sits near the top of the list. It wasn't just noise. It shaped careers and pushed both men to deliver some of their most unforgettable work. What makes it powerful is that both came out stronger. Jay expanded into business empires and cultural influence beyond music. Nas sharpened his craft, earned major awards, and proved longevity is real. They didn't just survive the clash, they elevated after it. In the end, this wasn't just a feud, it was a turning point. It showed how rivalry can either destroy or refine you. For Jay and Nas, it did a bit of both before transforming into respect. And that transformation, that's what keeps this story legendary, talked about and replayed in hip-hop conversations year after year.
At this stage, the feud feels less like gossip and more like folklore. It's one of those stories older hip-hop heads pass down like a warning and a celebration at the same time. They'll tell you how intense it felt when those tracks first dropped, how the streets picked sides, and how every new verse felt like a headline. What really stands out is how thin the line was between competition and personal attack. One minute it was about lyrical skill and dominance. The next, it was about relationships, pride, and reputation. That shift changed the temperature completely. Once emotions enter the booth, the records hit different. And let's talk about timing again. Back then, artists couldn't jump on live streams to explain themselves instantly. There were no quick posts to smooth things over. When a diss track dropped, it just sat there, loud and unapologetic, forcing the other side to respond on wax. That pressure created classics, but it also created scars. Now, years later, the respect between them seems solid. Business deals, collaborations, public praise, all signs that growth happened. But the echoes of that era still ring. Mention Ether in a room full of hip-hop fans and watch the energy shift. Play Takeover and the debate starts all over again. In a strange way, the feud became part of both their brands. It tested their toughness, sharpened their pens, and forced them to level up. Not every rivalry ends with both sides thriving, but this one did. That's why it still gets replayed in conversations, documentaries, and late-night debates. It wasn't just drama. It was a defining chapter in rap history that refuses to fade.
And here's the wildest part, no matter how much time passes, this chapter refuses to collect dust. Every few years, something pulls it right back into the spotlight. A lyric gets quoted, an old interview resurfaces, a podcast breaks it down again, and just like that, the debate is alive all over again. What keeps it so gripping is that it had everything. Talent at the highest level, real emotions tangled with public image, powerful names moving strategically while the whole culture watched. It wasn't just about winning a battle. It was about legacy, pride, and who would stand tallest when the smoke cleared. At the center of it all were real people dealing with real consequences. Careers were on the line, reputations were tested, families were pulled into headlines. That's why it still feels heavy when people revisit it. It wasn't some random back and forth that faded after a week. It reshaped how rap beef could look and sound. And maybe that's the final twist. Both Jay and Nas walked away as icons. They didn't let the rivalry define them forever. Instead, they evolved past it.
That kind of growth hits different. It shows that even the most explosive clashes can turn into lessons, business moves, and unexpected respect down the road. Still, the culture will never stop choosing sides. Some will always shout that either was the knockout punch. Others will stand firm that Takeover was calculated brilliance. That argument is locked into hip-hop history permanently. In the end, this saga isn't just about who dated who or who said what in a verse. It's about how competition can spark greatness, how pride can spark chaos, and how time can turn enemies into respected peers. That's why this story still echoes loud, even decades later.
Wendy never hid the fact that she wasn't a fan of Jay. According to her, this whole saga revealed his true character. Usually when a rap beef explodes like that, somebody's career takes a hit. The one who loses feels it in sales, respect, or opportunities. But Jay, he kept rising. Wendy argued that he knew exactly how to use the media to shield his image and protect his brand. Even with the personal shots aimed at Nas, a lot of people online still debate who really crossed the line. One commenter even said, "All the women in this world, in all the countries, why do these guys always end up sleeping with the same women?" That question alone sparked a whole other conversation. Some felt the situation wasn't random at all. They believed Jay moved strategically, studying the competition and making calculated choices to secure his spot at the top. There's also Jay's own words to consider. He once said he targeted Nas and Prodigy because they were the strongest lyricists in New York. If that was his mindset, then every move during that era could have been about dominance and proving a point. From that angle, some people argue it wasn't personal feelings driving the chaos, it was strategy. Still, many fans stand firm that Nas delivered the harder blow with Ether. That record shifted the energy and stamped its place in battle history. Now, the real question is, how do you see it? Was it pure competition, calculated moves, or something deeper? Drop your thoughts below and don't forget to like and subscribe for more breakdowns like this.